Hey, my name's Izzy. This is Rolling Virtual Cards coming at you with another Commander deck build. Month of Atraxa. Trying to speed run this crap now because I fell behind because life is busy. Atraxa, Corrupted, and Toxic is next. I wanted to build one that was Corrupted and one that was Toxic, but they just mix together. There's not enough Corrupted stuff to run without the Toxic. So let's just do a nice rundown of them. I think that, is this, do I joke? Yeah, I think it's Mom. Is that the... Is it Mom? Is that the set it comes from? Oh, come on. You're not going to tell me the set. No. Oh, yeah. All will be one. Okay, so it's not Mom. Let's do the all will be one set. Trax is the perfect commander for it. Let's hit that up. Atraxa's Praetor Voice is green, blue, white, black. Mix that up. Swip the blue and white. 4/4 Angel. Horror. Phyrexian. Flying Vigilance, Death Touch, Lifelink at the beginning of instant proliferate. This is fantastic for this type of deck. You're going to be able to proliferate so you can get to that corrupted faster. You're going to have a win con once everyone has one toxic. You just have to waste time till they die to Atraxa's proliferation. Atraxa is perfect for this type of deck. Because of all that, it's just generically good. There's other ones, but you're missing out on cards because they're 3 color instead of 4. Absolutely love the feeling of this commander. And you would want to run this over everything else if you liked that stuff. If you were looking for a nice Toxic deck because you like Toxic over Infect because it's not as stigmatized, because they're like, oh, I'm only dealing one thing. It's slow, right? I'm not dealing 5 in one hit. And you can also win off combat damage if Atraxa stops you. But then on top of that, if you like that corrupted ability and you wanted to see it, Atraxa, like once everyone has one, Atraxa can go, oh, they now have 2 and then they get 3. And now all your stuff has got corrupted doing stuff and you can get stuff done. So let's go into the card by card here. The Great Hinge, again, please don't buy the Great Hinge. I mean, if you have the money, go ahead. But I forget the word, proxy it. But the Great Hinge is here because it gives 1/1 counters to your stuff, guys. And since Toxic is going to allow you to do extra damage, you can kill some people with normal damage with this. But it's also going to draw you cards off all the creatures playing, which is the main thing here. It also gains you life and gives you 2 mana. It does everything, but I run it here because the 1/1 counters works very well with Atraxa. So yeah, moving on, this is the ETB. This is the stuff triggers off entering the battlefield. So Eternal Witness is going to just grab you a card. It's just a good card. Recursion's great. Guardian Project, whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you're going to draw a card, as long as you don't have a creature with the same name in your graveyard. That's just not a problem in most commander decks. Solemn's going to go grab your land when it enters the battlefield, a basic land, and put it on the battlefield tapped. When it dies, you draw a card. Venomous Brutalizer is Toxic 3. So when players dealt combat damage by this creature, also get 3 poison counters. And when it enters the battlefield, you may pay 1 and a green. If you do, proliferate. Really good. Here's one of the first, I don't know if I'm running both, but here's one of the first Toxic cards that Atraxa made this creature, but it's missing blue, and that's what I like about Atraxa having that blue, although you haven't seen blue yet. Vishkraz, the Doom Hive, is 5 for a 3/3 Phyrexian insect with Menace and Toxic 1. When it enters the battlefield, you create 3 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Might artifact creature tokens with Toxic 1, and this creature can't block. And Vishkraz gets +1/+1 for each poison counter your opponents have. This is cool because over the turns it'll get bigger and bigger. Still only dealing that 1 Toxic, but being able to deal a lot of damage. Because if they've got like 5 each, that's a +15, dude. That's an 18/18. And then the Great Hinge. Because it triggers off ETBs. So let's go over ramp. Birds comes in, taps for any color. Wayfarer's Bauble is going to go grab you a basic. Arcane Signet taps for any color. Farseek is going to grab you a Plains, Island, or Swamp. Felwar Stone is going to tap for any color your opponent can produce. Mirror Converter has Toxic 1, and you can pay 2 life you can tap it and pay 2 life to add 1 mana of any color. Rampant Growth grabs you a basic land. Tribelder grabs you a basic land. Cultivate grabs you a basic land. Same with Kodama's Reach. 1 on field, 1 on hand. Glistening Sphere enters the battlefield tapped, but when it enters you proliferate, taps for 1 mana of any color, but with Corrupted, you tap and add 3 mana of any 1 color, activate only if an opponent has 3 or more poison counters. Phyrexian Altars, add 1 mana color, 1 of any color, but If when Phyrexian Altar become tapped, each opponent who has 3 or more poison counters on it lose a life. Solemn we went over. Containment Graft. It has Trample and Toxic 1, but whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, proliferate. At the beginning of your end step, if an opponent has 3 or more poison counters, draw a card, then you would put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. And the Great Hinge taps for 2 color. Next, Recursion. Lots of Recursion. All accidental, to be fair. I don't normally run Recursion on purpose unless it's Ewit. Necrogen Communion. 1 in a black for an aura. Enchant creature. Enchant creature has Toxic 2. When enchanted creature dies, return it to the battlefield under your control. This is just a way to give Atraxa both protection and Toxic. Voidwing Hybrid is flying and Toxic, and whenever you proliferate, you can return it from your graveyard to your hand. Great way to keep getting it back. Viral Spawning is creates a 3/3 green Phyrexian Beast creature token with Toxic 1. Corrupted. As long as an opponent has 3 or more poison counters, and Viral Spawning is in your graveyard, it has flashback for 2 and a green. Not technically recursion, but reusability. Same with this, like they're not recurring things, but they are recurring themselves. So, Geth's Summons is 2 and 2 black for a sorcery. Return up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. For each opponent who has 3 or more poison counters, as you cast the spell, put up to 1 target creature card from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Very good. Glissa's Retrieval, 6/6 with haste and Toxic 3. It can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. And when it dies, exile it. When you do, return up to X target cards from your graveyard to your hand, where X is the number of opponents you have 3 or more poison counters. So you can get up to 3 cards back to your hand pretty easily. Wormquake. 3 and 2 green for a sorcery with Corrupted. Create an XX green Phyrexian Worm creature token with Trample and Toxic 1, where X is the amount of mana spent to cast this spell. Then, for each opponent with 3 or more poison counters, you create another one of these tokens. So as long as your opponents each have 3 poison counters, you're going to create 4 of these. You're going to create the base one for 6, like a 6/6 with Trample and Toxic 1. Then you're going to create 3 more, 1 for each of them. And then you can flash it back for 10, making 4 10/10s with Trample and Toxic 1. Absolutely disgusting. I love everything to do with that. I do not care about lands. I think the unique ones is Mirix, because you can pay 3 and tap it to create a 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Might artifact creature token with Toxic 1, and this creature can't block. And then the Seed Core, which target 1/1 creature gets +2/+1 until end of turn. Activate only if an opponent has 3 or more poison counters on it. So your little 1/1 mites can become 3/2s. Accidental life gain. Skrill's Hive. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose a life. Lose 1 life, and you create a 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Might artifact creature token with Toxic 1, and this creature can't block. Corrupted. As long as an opponent has 3 or more poison counters, creatures you control with Toxic have lifelink. Very good lifelink card. And I just love the look of this. Like, that's the big guy, and he's like, oh, here's a bunch of babies. Vincer, Corpse Puppet, blue and a black for a 1/3 Phyrexian Zombie Wizard with lifelink and Toxic 1. When you proliferate, choose 1. If you don't control a creature named the Hollow Sentient, create the Hollow Sentient, a legendary 3/3 colorless Phyrexian Golem artifact creature token. Or, target artifact you control gains flying and lifelink till end of turn. So you can make the 3/3 gain flying and lifelink so it can hit people. Otherwise, you can just target another one of your artifact creatures and give it flying and lifelink. You don't have a lot of them, though, in this deck, so your 3/3 is just going to get flying and lifelink over the time. It's got lifelink and Toxic 1. Like, it was a Toxic card. It's not a good card, but it's fun, and I love the art. Both times. Such a messed up card. Had to do that to Vincer. Vincer was so nice. White Sun's Twilight is X and 2 blue, 2 white for a sorcery. You gain X life. Create X 1/1 colors Phyrexian Might artifact creature tokens with Toxic 1, and this creature can't block. If X is 5 or more, destroy all the creatures. This is great. This is life gain, a board wipe, and tokens. So you can make X 4, just get 4 1/1s, gain 4 life, be good. But if X is like 10, you're going to get 10 life, make 10 1/1s with Toxic 1, and then board wipe and go pass. Here's the other one, Ixal Scion of Atraxa. This is an alt lose con. So 1 white, black, green for 2/4 of Phyrexian Angel with Flying, Vigilance, and Toxic 2. Corrupted. At the beginning of your end step, each opponent who has 3 or more poison counters exiles the top card of their library face down. You may look at and play those cards for as long as they remain exiled, and you may spend mana as though they were mana of any color to cast them. That is not meant to be an alt lose con. Let me change tags. This is also why I don't like the tags. I'm probably going away from them because I run the duplicates if they fall in multiple spots. I can just go over the cards themselves, and I don't think the tags are as necessary. I think this was supposed to be toxic and not alt win con, but alt win con was, or lose con was like next to it or something. Do I have toxic or poison counter? There we go. That's better. We'll get back to that. But anthems. Slaughter Signer, toxic 2. When another creature you control with toxic attacks, it gets +1/+1 till end of turn. Making all your mites 2/2s is actually very good. Might Overseer. 4 for a 4/2 fly with first strike. As long as it's your turn, creature tokens you control get +1/+0 and have first strike. And then you can pay 3 and white or 2 life and make a little mite. And then Rio Ivor, Bane of the Bladehold. 4 for a 3/4 Phyrexian Knight with Battle Cry, so when it attacks, all of their creatures get +1/+0, other attacking creatures. And at the beginning of combat in a turn, the next time target creature would deal combat damage to 1 or more players this combat, prevent that damage. If damage is prevented this way, create that many 1/1 colors Phyrexian, create that many mites, Phyrexian mites. This is cool because you can put it on Atraxa. If Era Ivor attacks, Atraxa will get the +1, so you'll make 5 mites, which I think is very useful. Counters, these are just things that like counters. This one dies, you proliferate. It's got Toxic 1, but when it dies, you proliferate. This has got Trample and Toxic 1, and when it deals combat damage to a player, you proliferate. We went over that one. Tainted Observer, it has Flying and Toxic 1. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you can pay 2 if you do proliferate, and we went over these 2. Damage, this is just here for damage. Choose 1. Charge the mites deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control to target creature, planeswalker, or create 2 mites. It's just meant to deal some damage. Draw, Chattering Skitterling. Sacrifice an artifact or creature, draw a card, activate only if an opponent has 3 or more poison counters. You can sack from your mites to start drawing cards, and you can only do once each turn. Distorted Curiosity. This spell costs 2 less to cast if an opponent has 3 or more poison counters, draw 2 cards. Beast Whisper, you're going to draw a card whenever you cast a creature. Bident, Coastal, Renaissance, Reconnaissance Mission, all draw you card whenever a creature you control deals damage to an opponent. Bident can be 1 for 1 in a blue, you can tap it to give a creature, to make all your creatures you want to control attack. And then Reconnaissance you can cycle for 2. Guardian Project draws your cards on ETB for creatures. This is drawing your cards at the end step, but for your opponents. Toski draws your card whenever you deal damage to an opponent. Same thing with Orin Phosphoring, whenever a creature deals combat damage. Goliath Hatchery. When it enters the battlefield, create 2, 3... Sorry for the cars, guys. Create 2, 3, 3 green for X, increase beast creature tokens with Toxic 1. At the beginning of your upkeep, if an opponent has 3 or more poison counters, choose a creature you control, then draw cards equal to the total Toxic value. So you at least get 1, but with something bigger, you might be able to get more. And Great Hedge draws you off ETBs. Skriliv Defector Might. 1/1 Phyrexian Might. Toxic 1. Can't be blocked. For 1 or 2 life. For a white or 2 life, you can tap it, choose a color. Another target creature you control gains Toxic 1 and hexproof from the color until end of turn. It can't be blocked by creatures of that color this turn. We went over the rest. Interaction. Path of Exile pops an art. This is pops a creature. Exile target creature if its mana value is 3 or less. Exile that creature instead if its controller has 3 or more poison counters on it. Bringer of the End, counter target spell unless its controller pays 2. Just counter that spell instead if its controller has 3 or more poison counters. Counter just any spell with counter spell. Heroic Intervention gives your permanent hexproof indestructible. Negate counters and non-creature spell. White Sun's Twilight is a board wipe. Annex Century, a toxic 1, and when it enters the battlefield, exile target artifact or creature an opponent controls with mana 3 or less until it leaves the battlefield. Bloated, when it deals combat damage, they proliferate. Why is this an interaction? It shouldn't be an interaction. Should be in poison counter. We went over this because you can blow up a creature in our Planeswalker. Toxic 2, when a creature you control with Toxic deals combat damage to a player, that player gets an additional poison counter. And then for 3, target creature you control gains Toxic, with Toxic gains Death Touch, which is technically interaction. Mana Sink, you can just sink mana into this to make a lot of creatures. A poison counter is things that just have poison counters that aren't doing much else. Death Touch, Toxic 1, Toxic, and when it dies, you make a 1/1 Might. Equipped creature gets +0/+2 and has Toxic 1. Went over that guy. Oh, yep. Dune Movers 2 for 2/1 with Toxic 1, and when it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, then shuffle your library and put it on top. Infested Flesh Cutter gives the equipped creature 2 and 0. Oh, it's 2 with equipped 2 and with equipped 3, 2 and a 0, and a +2/+0. When equipped creature attacks, you make a Might. Double Strike and Toxic 1. Flying and Toxic 1. Any other ones we haven't gone over? No. Oh, Death Touch, Toxic 1. Yeah, that's about it. That's the Toxic guys. Protection, we went over them other than the Lightning Greaves and Swiftfoot Boots, which just protect Atraxa. That's technically the only sack outlet, not that we really need a sack outlet in this deck. Here's the guys making tokens. And I didn't even put the other guy in the wipe. It's technically a wipe. Change tags. Recent. Wipe. Yeah. These forgetfulness and stuff and the fact that I have to do more is why I'm probably going back to just not using the tags. You'll see videos with tags because I've made decks ahead of time that I did put tags on. I think the rest of the Lord of the Rings have all been tagged, but it's a lot more work than you think, and I miss things like this should be a wipe too, and I'd rather just go over the card by card, not over the sections. So that besides the point, my complaints of making videos for people for fun. The point of this deck is there. It like if you want to play Atraxa, but you want a fun way to play Atraxa that not everyone's playing, and you like the newer cards, or maybe you bought into the set and you just have them lying around in your bulk. It's fun. The Toxic is not as toxic than Infect. Infect is like, this creature's a 10/10, and it's gonna infect and kill you one shot. These guys are like, maybe the most is like Toxic 4. Oh, you got 4 Toxic. I gotta hit you a bunch of times. You can block them. I'm not putting -1/-1 counters on your creature, which can be annoying. I'm not overly pushing like death. There is an Infect version of this deck, and I don't think I put it out yet. You'll see it. It's grosser because it kills people faster and removes single people from games instead of like spreading out the game. Which in Commander, it's more fun to just finish everyone at once. Anyway, hope you liked the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more Commander content and just MTG content in general. Peace.